South Africa prepares to face holders India in the Cricket World Cup, and how a sporting family in Kenya is hoping to help revive the country's cricket fortunes. Hello and a very warm welcome to our weekly sports show Match Point, where the focus is African sports and beyond. I'm Mahia Mutua. Also coming up in today's show, why there's so much excitement about a young boxing champion from Algeria. And how Ugandan women are breaking the glass ceiling in a male-dominated sport. Welcome once again. Let's begin with the Cricket World Cup, and there's a mouth-watering match coming up on Sunday. South Africa face holders India. Proteas captain AB de Villiers says his side are as ready as they can be for the Pool B encounter. And former South Africa coach Ray Jennings is backing de Villiers' men to make it 2 wins from 2.
South Africa's cricketers successfully navigated their first assignment of the Cricket World Cup with a hard-fought win over Zimbabwe. But now comes an altogether more difficult examination, a match against the reigning champions, India. Former South Africa coach Ray Jennings knows the threat India poses better than most, having coached in the IPL. But he's backing the Proteas to come out on top.
South Africa, I think, the fielding is a lot better than India, and I think that's going to be quite an important factor. India do have a good side, and they perform reasonably well. But over the last 18 months, India haven't really performed that well, and South Africa have put together a combination of players that they've been utilising the same players for 18-month periods. So I think, from a form point of view, I think South Africa have definitely got the advantage.
The two sides have met 3 times at previous Cricket World Cups. The Proteas have won them all. But India can count on the majority of a capacity crowd at the MCG, and they have a batting lineup capable of chasing down any target.
I think they've got match winners. A guy like Virat Kohli, he's a very moody cricketer. He started to come to form again. He had a bit of a low period in the Australian tour, but he's a definite match winner. He's one of the top 3 or 4 players in the world. They're always up for the big stage. They like crowds. So I think they're going to be quite a handful to actually handle.
If there is a weakness in the South Africa team, Jennings believes it's at number 7 and the crucial 5th bowling change. So can South Africa underline their tournament credentials with a win against India? But no matter what happens in this group encounter, Jennings believes both sides will still be in the mix come the latter stages of the competition.
With New Zealand playing good cricket, they've been consistently in form for the last 18 months. The other one is Australia. I think Australia do own cricket in Australia. Very difficult to beat them there. They do have depth in all aspects of the game. I don't see any weak areas. I think they're going to be a real big threat, and India will come through in the last 4 because of their ability to understand what winning's about. I think South Africa will be there. So my top 4 sides will be New Zealand, India, South Africa and Australia.
This is the heavyweight match of Pool B. The result won't knock either side out, but it will go some way to identifying which of these 2 sides has the best chance of returning to the MCG for the final at the end of March. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's Cricket World Cup campaign has so far gone according to plan. 1 win and 1 loss have left the team mid-table in Pool B and full of renewed confidence ahead of their remaining 4 fixtures as they seek to make it to the 2nd round of the tournament.
A battling loss against one of the tournament favourites, South Africa, and a nervy victory over the UAE have brought the feel-good factor back to Zimbabwe's cricket. Even though Zimbabwe is unlikely to win it, people here are happy that the team is at least putting up a fight.
Zimbabwe looks very competitive. It certainly looks like a side that wants it for a change. I think what we've seen of Zimbabwe in recent months before the appointment of Dav Watmore was a Zimbabwe side that basically capitulated to any opposition, as we did in Bangladesh. Now you're seeing a Zimbabwe side that's got some fight to it, it's got some bite to it. You can see some strategy in what we're doing.
That strategy has seen sensible batting racking up impressive totals, which has been the brightest spot for a Zimbabwe team that has so far struggled with its bowling and fielding. Zimbabwe is in Pool B, which includes two of the tournament favourites, India and South Africa, along with the West Indies and Pakistan, and two non-test playing nations, Ireland and the United Arab Emirates. Ahead of the tournament, Zimbabwe had identified the two non-test teams as the soft targets. So far, it's one down and one more to go. But Ireland, which has already surprised the West Indies, could be a tougher opponent than had been previously expected.
Ireland is improving and has improved dramatically. They've already beaten the West Indies, which gives us big problems, which means now we not only need to beat Ireland, we also need to beat West Indies. So I think the game between Zimbabwe and Ireland is going to be potentially a decider as to which of those two nations goes through, if any of them are going to.
The only time Zimbabwe has made it past the first stage into the Super 6 round was in 1999. Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Right now, with both Zimbabwe and South Africa representing Africa at the Cricket World Cup, Kenya is watching the tournament from the sidelines for the first time since 1996. The team, which just 3 editions ago finished third at the world stage, has been on the decline since. But one cricketing family is giving back to the sport. The Obuya Cricket Academy is run by 3 brothers who were all part of Kenya's successful 2003 team. They hope that by developing fresh talent, they can play a part in reviving cricket in Kenya.
End of day in many schools across Kenya, and children playing football is a common sight. But tucked away at the edge of this playground in Nairobi's Rabai Primary School is a group learning to play cricket. 12-year-old Joseph Jimmy is among the children in this cricket clinic run by the Obuya Cricket Academy.
I came out one day from class and found myself bored in the playground. But then I saw these guys teaching kids how to play cricket and I joined. I think it's a nice sport, especially if you do well, you can get people to sponsor your education.
10 years on, it is stories like Jimmy's that keep the Obuya Cricket Academy going. The academy was founded by 3 cricket-playing brothers.
I think I owe cricket a lot. My dad never paid not even a single cent for my school fees. And that's what happened to all my four brothers. The people give back in so many ways. And I thought cricket has done for me so much. So I think this was one of the ways that we thought we'd give it back.
2003 was a memorable year for Kenyan cricket, more so for Kennedy and his brothers. They were part of Kenya's successful World Cup squad, which finished third at the competition. But even as the world of cricket converges in Australia and New Zealand for yet another battle for ODI's best nation in 2015, Kenya watches from the sidelines after they failed to qualify.
I think the backstop with that was the association. But I think for me the next level was to increase the number of people who played cricket. Yeah, we've got to improve the facilities. I watched the national team train. Yeah, they use the same facilities we used 2003, not even 2003, on the early 80s. Things have changed.
Despite Kenya's poor run of form, which sees them currently ranked as a Division 2 team, some still have hope for the future. 18-year-old Peter Koech, who was recently signed by the Obuya Cricket Academy, is looking to play professionally.
I was in Form 2 and a group of individuals came from the UK called Cricket Without Boundaries, and they introduced me to the game. Slowly I got to pick up and started playing the game. I want to be a batting all-rounder, but for the moment I'm a bowler.
But in a country where athletics, football and rugby shapes the sporting image for many young kids, cricket can be a hard sell.
The big challenge is the area that we are in, we have been really trying to pull up the local kids to come in. Yeah, we offer them transport, we offer them lunch, but we still don't have the numbers that really push us forward.
Cricket in Kenya remains very elitist, restricted to private clubs with grounds to play or international schools, with the cost of playing equipment also a hindrance to some who might want to take up the sport. The Obuya Cricket Academy believes that introducing the game to kids at a young age is part of the solution to Kenya's cricket woes. But that is in the long term. In the short term, it will take a concerted effort from stakeholders of the sport in the country in order to get Kenya back to its glorious days. Celestine Karone, CCTV in Nairobi.
Right, let's take a quick breather here on Match Point. Plenty more sporting action coming up, including just why there's so much excitement about a young boxing champion from Algeria. And we tell you what officials are doing to take handball in Egypt back to its glory days. Welcome back. Now, Algeria has another reason to be hopeful about dominating a global sport. The country is home to the world's youngest boxing champion. At only 22 years of age, the boxer is already the holder of the WBC belt in the super lightweight category. Leslie Mirungu with that story.
He has been celebrated as the world's youngest boxer by the World Boxing Council and the Universal Boxing Federation. Algeria's Jamel Dahoud, at only 22 years of age, has recorded 12 victories in all the 12 matches that he has fought. He is also now the holder of the WBC belt in the super lightweight category. The pugilist's clean record has earned him the title of King of Africa from adoring fans across the globe.
جمال دحو عنده عدة ألقاب عالمية وإفريقية ووطنية.
Jamel Dahoud has many African and world titles. I'm double world champion in the WBC Central African champion UBO, Algeria champion in 2012. I'm the best in the super lightweight category, which I'm very happy about.
وبطل الجزائر سنة 2012. قاع الألقاب بديهم في يعني في الوزن الخفيف.
His coach, Nasruddin Banasser, is proud of the young boxer, but like elsewhere in Africa, he worries about poor funding for the sport.
As you can see from our preparations, there is lack of resources. If you look at other African boxers, they are supported by Europeans. But I cannot complain much because we are on the road to professionalism. And Jamel is increasingly growing to be a world competitor and not only on an African level.
However, the French-born Algerian boxer has been in constant training as he expects to face steep competition, especially with the sprouting up of professional boxers both nationally and internationally. Leslie Mirungu, CCTV.
Turning to football now, and after failing to lift the Africa Cup of Nations trophy for 23 years, Côte d'Ivoire delighted their fans with a win in this year's final against Ghana. The country's president, Alassane Ouattara, pledged hefty awards to members of the Elephant squad. Here's an update from Côte d'Ivoire's sports minister.
The most important thing is that the trophy allowed the Ivorian people to gather together to celebrate this achievement and to express their joy. The head of state promised to reward the players, which he did, as each player was to receive cash and a villa. Instructions have been given to the Ivorian Football Association to submit as bank account identities of the players in order to send the money promised by the state of Côte d'Ivoire to their accounts. Their houses will be built and the keys will be handed over to them.
One of the surprise gold medals of the 2012 Olympic Games came in rowing as South Africa's lightweight men's four ripped up the form book to win. That success has since helped grow the sport in the country. It is hoped that further medals will come at Rio 2016, but as our reporter Dan Williams found out, those dreams could come crashing down if the rowers fail to perform later this year.
A calm summer morning at Rudaplat Dam just outside Pretoria. But for those here, there is little time to enjoy the view. It's a crucial period of training for the South African men's rowing teams as they look to continue a recent run of success. A gold medal at the Olympics in 2012 was followed by a first ever gold and a bronze at the World Championships last year. Not that the rowers are getting carried away with that.
Last year was our best year ever in SA rowing, And it's strange, we didn't really do anything fancy. We really stuck to the basics. We were always honest with the rowers, honest with ourselves, and the results seemed to come. I sort of let the athletes live with it for 2-3 weeks and be the hero, but then bring them back to earth as quickly as possible. Because in rowing, such a hard physical sport, we've got to get back to the hard training.
There we go. That's 1-2 straight. Go along that line.
The recent achievements also brought with it the knock-on benefit of an improvement in funding. But there are still some difficult decisions ahead. The gold medal in London came in the lightweight coxless fours, whereas the victory at the Worlds came in the lightweight double. 4 into 2 does not go, so it means the likes of Sizwe and Gluvu, who was part of that victorious Olympic team, may miss out.
Compared to the past 2 seasons, you can feel the pressure between the athletes and all of us. It's building up slowly. But yeah, we are working together. We're one team, one unit. But yeah, it's good to have that competition every day. They're keeping your toes, so we're keeping each other on our toes.
So just working, keeping that posture up on the finish. Good elbow draw, that acceleration.
This is the crew that claimed World Championship gold. Despite that success, the duo of John Smith and James Thompson know a place in the boat is far from guaranteed.
We have a big thing saying that the fastest crew will go, so if you're in bad form, you can't expect to go and you won't go. So there is a lot of competition between Sizwe, myself and James. We're going for the double, and if one of us is not fast enough, your seat will be taken. And that's how you produce good rowers and fast rowers, if your seat is never safe and you're always striving to be the best.
It's a key year for South Africa's rowers, as the upcoming World Championships also doubles up as qualifiers for the Rio Games. It means the pressure is on, as a slight mistake now could end an Olympic dream.
We've obviously got 4 boats that are ranked in the top 5, 6 in the world at the moment. We've got to make sure those boats are all finished within 11. If you finish 12th, that's the Olympic dream's over. And it's a death race. It's the same for every country. And they're often big upsets. So we just got to make sure we're not part of that upset. And once the qualification's done, then we can focus on Rio.
The team will soon depart for a high-altitude camp in Lesotho. Once that is concluded, the makeup of the various crews will begin to take shape.
Wait for the boat to present and a nice arm lift.
The goal this year is not medals. That would be a bonus. It's all about keeping the Rio dream alive. Dan Williams, CCTV, Roodeplaat Dam, South Africa.
Right, now a trip down memory lane will tell you that in the 1990s, handball in Egypt was a top-tier sport, with the national team back then among the very best in Africa. The team went on to become the first non-European side to reach the World Cup semi-finals in 2001, but after that, performances greatly deteriorated. And as Adel El Mahrouki reports, discussions are now underway to try and revive the Egyptian team's fortunes.
In this year's Handball World Cup in Qatar, Egypt ranked the 14th. That was the best position for the country in the last 7 rounds of the Cup. A big drop for the Pharaohs. They were once among the best 7 countries in the world in handball.
We have had the strangest transition between generations in handball. The 90s team suddenly vanished, retired, and they were entirely replaced by new players with less experience and physical fitness. So in a sense, Egypt is starting from scratch in building its national handball team. The only link is the team coach, who was one of the main players in the golden national team.
Many sports experts reckon the current national team stands to a good chance of taking the country back to the glory days.
To get back to the age of our great players, we must expand the recruitment base in all governorships in Egypt and look for talent through increasing domestic handball competitions. We are lucky to have fast players, but we need to develop their fitness to make that last. We must also have budgets to hold friendly games for our national team. If that is done, then there is no doubt we'll be on the right track.
Egypt rose to the 6th position globally for the first time in 1995. It kept the ranking in the next World Cup, eventually becoming the 4th best team in the French edition in 2001. Egypt was the first non-European country to make it to the World Cup semi-finals. After this year's loss to Germany, the national team manager said that the country could regain its strength in 6 months. But that's conditional. It depends on whether the country wants to invest in handball or leave it to die like many others, known here as the martyr sports. Adel Mahroui, CCTV, Cairo.
Well, time yet again for another short break, but still ahead. How Ugandan women are breaking the glass ceiling in a male-dominated sport. Now, in Uganda, karate is predominantly a male-dominated sport, but some women are keen to take it on. For some, it's about feeling safe, while for others, it's about a new challenge, as Leon Senyange reports.
Students at this karate school practice their techniques. The training is the same for men and women, and the women often give as good as they get. Joyce Baku is the most experienced of the women here. She is the only woman in Uganda with the black belt.
I'm very proud of my black belt because it has been a long journey, a difficult one for me, because it takes you not a month. You can take more than 2-3 years to attain a black belt.
Baku has competed both locally and internationally, but Uganda's competitors are rare at international events.
When we go for competitions, you may find they categorize us, seniors and the novices. Novices are the color belts, the lower belts. You may find the person is my age, but cannot compete with me because I'm a senior and the other is an amateur. So the only challenge you find is we may only be 3 for a competition or 2.
But now, Uganda's top female karateka is inspiring some to take on the sport.
I was interested because I saw my sister doing it, so I was inspired by her to join because she was a lady. So when I saw her doing the techniques, every time she would be doing rehearsals. So I was like, if she can do it, why not me?
It helps me, gives me self-defense skills, and then keeps me fit as well. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and also character-wise, I think so.
Karate has gained popularity even in the outskirts of the capital, Kampala. More than 15 karate clubs have been set up. And while it may take some time to get another female black belt karateka, the number of women and girls joining is encouraging. Hatmut Androsh, an instructor at this karate school, says it takes many women years to properly master the Japanese martial arts. But those that get through the training enjoy the sport more.
20, 30 which come, one will continue. Because karate, especially in the beginning, it's pretty boring. It's very technical, you do the same steps, the stances again and again and again. But then some 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30, maybe they grasp it, and then they are getting really into it. They become then almost fanatic.
Over 100 women are currently involved in the sport. For many, karate helps build self-confidence and fitness. Some of those following in Baku's footsteps are also determined to strike their way to the black belt. Leon Senyange, CCTV, Kampala.
Now, it's been 2 weeks since Ghana's national women's hockey team opened camp. The team has been preparing for their second round of the Hockey World League tournaments, scheduled to kick off next month in India.
Ghana's women's hockey team reported to camp mid-January in preparation for the Hockey World League Round 2 tournament, scheduled for the 7th to the 15th of March in New Delhi, India. The team has tough assignment in South Africa, who have previously locked them out in the last stages of qualifying for the Hockey World Cup.
We always want to go to the World Cup and go and see how it is. But South Africa has always been a thorn in our flesh. When you get there, you think you are there, and before you see, they will slip by. That is our biggest, and we are praying for the day that we are going to beat South Africa and get to the world stage.
The Ghanaian team participated in round 1 of the tournament hosted by Kenya, where they sailed through to the second stage. Ghana's women's hockey coach believes that more African countries will soon be competing at the world stage.
I think that Africa has got a very bright future in hockey. At the moment, if you talk of Africa, people know of only South Africa. But I think that the way the game is spreading now, Africa will be head of in the next few years, in hockey. Looking at the sort of programs that have been ruled, it is coming on by the FIH.
Coach Edmund also believes that Ghana, having a team mostly composed of younger players, has a bright future.
I think this team is a young team. Most of the players are very young players who are coming up. And then it's a team, we believe everybody wants to put up her best. And we want to make sure that we move from one level to the other, qualify for the Commonwealth, qualify for the Olympics. So the will is there to do it. So I think that they are very well focused and they are taking all the challenges we are giving them one after the other.
The World League is a 4-leg qualifying series for the Hockey World Cup. Ghana will battle it out with hosts India, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Poland, Russia, Singapore and Thailand. Leslie Mirungu, CCTV.
Finally, going back to our top story, the Cricket World Cup is finally here and already 1 week in. This week on the Matchpoint Top 5, we take a look at the top 5 batsmen on the African continent. The classification here is from one-day internationals and we've ranked them by the most runs in their career. Better known for having led India to Cricket World Cup glory in 2011 as coach, before then taking on the South Africa job for 3 years. But as a player, in an ODI career that ran from 1993 to 2003 and resulted in 185 appearances, Kirsten managed 6,798 runs. At number 4 is Graeme Smith. The former South Africa ODI captain and also the youngest ever, Smith featured in 197 one-day internationals, amassing 6,989 runs in the process. Incidentally, his last ODI was in November 2013 against Pakistan. Third on our list is the man who took over from Smith as South Africa captain. AB de Villiers is the man currently leading the Proteas at the World Cup. His runs total 7,459. His debut in the format came against England in Bloemfontein in 2005, and he is currently ranked first in ODI batting rankings, so there's every chance he will add to his tally. At number 2, we have yet another South African, Herschel Gibbs. The 40-year-old amassed over 8,000 runs in an ODI career that ran from October 1996 against Kenya to February 2010 against India. Top on our list of ODI career batsmen is Jacques Kallis. The former right-handed batsman is considered one of the game's greatest all-rounders and sits at 7th in the list of career batsmen overall, behind such greats as Sachin Tendulkar and Ricky Ponting. His incredible 11,579 runs in an 18-year career from 1996 to 2014 makes him the highest career batsman in one-day internationals from the continent. And in case you didn't notice, all those names are indeed South African. Well, on that note, that's it for this edition of Matchpoint. Remember, you can send your feedback to matchpoint@cctv.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. Well, thanks for watching. We leave you as always with some images from the sporting highlights this past week.